it's okay not to be okay and say that in the workplace. Because if you're having an off day, that's a productivity blocker. And so as Scrum Master, I'm supposed to collect the blockers and try to resolve. And if there's something at work that we need to address, then I can at least be a catalyst to start further conversations if we need to. And if it's something personal, then they can just say, no, I'm just having a day, and that's fine.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Fowler, Executive Director of Triangle MLS, back with another Triangle MLS podcast. Today we've got a little different agenda. Today we've got three, I call them Triangle MLS staff people on the line with us today to talk about a trip that they just recently took out to Austin, Texas. A couple of years ago, we did our first strategic planning exercise under me at Triangle. And one of the things that we adopted as one of our 5 strategic objectives was to increase organizational agility is the phrase that we use. And if you unpack what comes underneath that, what the directors and our stakeholders were talking about is they wanted our staff to be deeply knowledgeable, to be highly trained in project management, in the technologies that we use, so that we are the undisputed experts in how this technology works and how they can best deploy it in their businesses. And part of that is just kind of basic science learning. Like we spend a lot of time going to specific industry conferences like the Real Estate Standards Organization we're going to in a few weeks, the Council of MLS that we're going to in September, the National Association of Realtor meetings, the T360 conferences where we study technology and see new technology. Inman Connect, of course, where Triangle was just named as an example of MLS reinvented. MLSs that are tracking 18 strategic points to remain relevant going into the future in a very turbulent time, certainly in real estate. So I'm going to ask our 3 Trianglers to introduce themselves. And the meeting they went to was South by Southwest out in Austin, but that was a couple of weeks ago now. They've been back home. They've had a little time to rest up and digest some of the stuff that they experienced. If you've not been to South by Southwest, it's a marathon and it's a lot. So we've got Matt Nagy, Kate Morley, and Allan Nielsen with us today, but I want to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to get Matt Nagy to tell us maybe what he did on the first day, and Kate and Allan can chime in. So Matt.
Morning. I'm Matt Nagy, VP of Engineering at Triangle MLS. I've been at Triangle for almost 16 years. So yeah, a good long tenure here. Thanks for having us.
Good morning. Kate Morley. I'm the Director of Member Services here at Triangle MLS. I've been with the company for a little over 8 years.
Another long tenure and even longer.
Even longer, yeah. Allan Nielsen, VP of MLS Systems. I think I've Matt beat with a couple of weeks or so in terms of tenure with Triangle. Been here a long time, but enjoy it very much. So yeah, thank you for having me here.
So I don't like when people count things up this way, but that's like 40 years of MLS experience here on the call, not counting me, and we're just going to leave that math out. So Matt, you guys got into South by Southwest, and I think you told me one time that there was something like 60 presentations an hour or something ridiculous like that. How did you decide what to do the first day?
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming at first. Thank goodness they have an app for that, but you really need to pick a track. So there's something like 25 different tracks of knowledge that you can follow. And so we chose, or specifically I chose, technology track, workplace wellness, and just personal well-being tracks. And those workplace and well-being tracks really focused on leadership skills and how to be mindful of your presence and, the presence of others around you. So actually I'll start with one of the things I picked up on day number 2, which is it's okay not to be okay. So in the corporate world, we tend to hide our feelings. Just kind of when somebody asks how you're doing, the answer is always fine. It's never anything else, and you don't ever kind of peek behind the curtain and ask what's up. So one of the presentations was focused on the concept of it's okay not to be okay and say that in the workplace. And so they coached us to use a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're having an absolute bad day, and 10 being the absolute best day you could ever have. And so we'll go around the room real quick and ask people how we're doing. And the idea here is to let people near you who you might interact with know if you're having an off day, if you need some grace or some just space. You don't have to dive into detail. This isn't therapy. It's just to say, hey, maybe I'm not having such a great day. And so, Or if you're having an absolute best day, then let people know that and they can kind of pull off of your enthusiasm. So today I'm a 9. I'm doing really well today. Sun's shining, the weather's great. So I'm a happy Matt. Kate, what about you?
I'm going to stick with an 8. That seems to be my theme for the week. Pretty good. Not quite as great as Matt, but close to it.
All right. And Allan?
I'm going to join you at the 9. It's a really good day. I made some good work this morning, and I'm ready to continue the day.
All right. And Fallon?
How cool is that? I think I'll report a 7. I have my dog with me today, but I pulled a muscle in my back. It's killing me. But isn't that cool? Like if somebody on your team says 2,
Yeah.
like maybe that's a personal day, or maybe you as a manager just need to know that. And we use agile principles at Triangle, and really one of the many reasons is that I think empowered people do better work and are just more sustainable as an employee. And I think this is kind of part of it. Like you're empowering people to say, it's okay to say that this is a rough day for me. I mean, people struggle with stuff in their personal lives or just random crap, So that's cool. And you already employed that kind of thing in your stand-ups, right? So
it's been really well received. I got messages right after I did it in the first meeting saying, hey, we're really appreciating this. We really appreciate our leadership encouraging honesty and transparency in the workplace. And that includes, if you're having an off day. And it also is a trigger for me as Scrum Master to say, hey, is there anything I can do to help? Because if you're having an off day, that's a productivity blocker. And so as Scrum Master, I'm supposed to collect the blockers and try to resolve them. And if there's something at work that we need to address, then I can at least be a catalyst to start further conversations if we need to. And if it's something personal, then they can just say, no, I'm just having a day, and that's fine. And we don't need to fight.
But it's not therapy. It's just like a raise your hand.
Right.
Yeah, but that was really cool.
And I will say it is a very important tool, or will become a very important tool for us as managers, because we are not in our day-to-day job. We are not necessarily sitting waiting and on really paying close attention to how staff is, because we have more than full days ourselves. So this is a good there was a low number there. And that makes us aware, and in order to react, we have to be aware. So it's a really powerful tool, and probably one of the better things we did bring back from there, I would say.
Did you take the same 3 tracks yourself? It's just while we're talking.
Yeah, pretty much that was what stood out. I did venture out, and one of my favorite movies is Office Space, and it was their 20th year anniversary of that movie. So they did have a panel with the actors of that, and I had to see the red stapler guy, and I got to so
how random is that?
But that's the great thing about these talking about randomness, because we, like you indicated, we go to the industry conferences all the time, and those are very important. I mean, that's where we learn from other professionals in the same industry. But what we are missing out on is the stuff that's coming out of left field, right? And this was kind of a fun thing in that regard. That is one of the powerful things about something like South by Southwest.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And we don't know what we don't know, right. And like I think in 2024, that's got to be an ocean worth of stuff, right? I mean, it's coming at us fast with the NAR stuff, the state regs that are changing, the AI, barreling into the space. That's just like 5-level chess. So we've done things like ask Matt to go out to CES, in the world's largest computer electronics show. They still call it CES?
Yep.
Okay. And like there was no particular reason you weren't going to have a meeting with CoreLogic or with ICE or FBS like we normally do when we go to meetings. You were just going out there to see what you might know that you didn't know. Yep. And having empowered people, like I said, coming back in with that knowledge and being on the team, it's just really invaluable. Kate, did you pick the same 3, or did you go a different direction?
Yeah, no, the workplace culture and leadership sessions were of definite benefit and came out with a lot of good takeaways from those. Piggybacking on what Matt was saying about how are you doing today? There was a good talk that included some discussion about radical compassion and encourages to treat themselves and nurture themselves with self-compassion. There were some really good sessions on AI in the workplace and how that impacts or will be impacting the nature of work as AI in the workplace.
Yeah, of course I want to ask you about that, but radical compassion, wow, what a phrase. I have a flag like a porch flag on my house that says practice radical empathy from a company that I really follow from Atlanta. And I mean, what if we all put aside those little digs that we carry around with us and just tried to remember that, as we were talking right before the call, that some people come into the room with a lot, they're at 2, and we just have to really try to be aware of that and be compassionate or empathetic. So, I mean, this is a little segue into weird question, Kate. But for our subscribers who are watching this podcast, Kate's in charge of our member services department. So during our turbulence through December and January, getting the new systems tuned in, Kate's team, is the front line, literally. And they're taking calls from people that are really happy that they have access to Flex now, and also not happy because the Paragon that they relied on for almost 10 years, unchanging and stable, became less than that in November. So tell me, Kate, and you guys did a phenomenal job. You maintained very high quality ratings, very high customer service ratings for the whole period, even when we were down, to not being able to get back to calls even days after. It was a rough period, but we're out of that now. But what did you learn in Austin that, you kind of, maybe the question is, what did you wish you knew like in September, so we could have used these tools during what we just went through?
Yeah, sure. The same talk that referenced the radical compassion talked about how to improve happiness in the workplace. And I think that would have helped us provide even better customer service than we have been. Suppressing negative emotions leads to memory loss. So acknowledging, Matt was saying, on that scale of 1 to 10, going around and letting people acknowledge where they were, really coming together as a team, which we do. We have a very strong team in place, but just encouraging them even more to support each other, to see the benefit as it would be to our subscribers who are reaching out to us.
It's really that making sure people are heard and cared for and acknowledged. I mean, it just sounds so simple, but
yeah,
we, like you said, we felt like we were trying really hard, to acknowledge where the pain points were going to be and do things like our team is scattered all over the world, literally. And we do things like send, DoorDash out to everybody's home just on that night that we know it's going to be late. But we didn't ask, how you doing? Like, we bought dinner, but we didn't say, are you a 2 or an 8 today? So that seems so basic. I'm glad you guys came back with that.
But that is a very important point there, Matt, is that we're a distributed workforce at Triangle. And that means we don't really get to run into each other in the hallways and check on it that way. And that means we have to find other ways of doing it. And technology is obviously a big piece of that. But again, going back to awareness, we have to be very aware of how our colleagues are doing. And a lot of the programming during this event was about that. And obviously distributed workforce is not new, not going away either. So there's a lot on this topic. And we are not the biggest company in the world. So we are very fortunate that there are companies with a lot more resources than we have that have done a lot of research into this. And we get to piggyback off of that. And I mean, how great is that?
Well, I've built a career out of bringing things that were well established in the tech world into the real estate space. Most of them are very proven and 10 years old. So, we get to bring these techniques into the real estate space and look really smart, when in fact, we're just picking up a tool that people have been using for a long time to do exactly the thing that we want to do. We're just the ones that know about it. So that's another great reason to go to a place like South by Southwest. I've gone to and sent people to Seattle Interactive before, which is another kind of, tech heavy, product oriented think tank sort of thing. And we're just going to keep leaning into those things in order to bring things back to our staff. And we've been talking about how to nurture our staff and how to do customer service better. And we've got about maybe 10 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about that distributed workforce thing, because I know that one of the tracks was, about how you do that better. I'm also interested in what you might have heard about, just to finish out the time today, that our users, our subscribers, might expect to see in the MLS user experience, if it's AI and support. I know we're talking about that. Or we have a demo Monday morning at the stakeholder council meeting from a company that lets you upload all the photos for the property or a video for the property, and then it fills out the input form automatically for you. All the required fields are filled out. You just have to check them and push enter. The photos are all there. The form's filled out correctly, by the AI engine reading that stuff from the photo. So I know there's a billion things that are related to AI, both large and small, but let's get into those things for today. But what did you, Nagy, you were telling me about the distributed workforce?
Yeah, one of the best
we have
sessions.
A lot of tools.
One of the best sessions I sat through was actually put on by a leader at Atlassian, and her job is distributed workforce management. So her job is to improve Atlassian's distributed workforce. And she started off with a concept that the terminology matters. Distributed workforce is what they're calling what remote or hybrid used to be called. Remote or hybrid are very office centric. They're talking about that there's a hub and spoke model there. And in a true distributed workforce, you don't have a hub, you don't have a headquarters. The workforce is completely distributed, and there's no pressure or expectation to travel back to a home base. So that was really eye-opening there, and just the way you talk about it. But some of the things she talked about too was how to bring in, especially people straight out of college or younger people that have never really worked in a formal office environment, and having some kind of space where they can go to either through a WeWork or, a kind of co-working space with more senior employees would give them guidance on how to truly work in a workspace, because sometimes they don't have a baseline for that, what that looks like. If they're straight out of school, then they're used to being a student. They're used to studying and kind of doing that life. So even just cadences and the concept of core working hours and working together and collaborating virtually takes focus and takes training. And we kind of drop the ball on that sometimes as as business professionals. We take it for granted that how to interact with others in an office environment. It was really enlightening to just hear some takes on how to deal with even just different age distributions in the workplace.
Yeah, wow. And what a great high-level person to hear that from. I mean, we use Atlassian tools. It's some of the most important tools that we use specifically to manage a distributed workforce. But, so we've got, Matt, I guess you're in the Raleigh-Durham area today, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and Kate is. Allan's in Copenhagen, Denmark. He used to be located in Raleigh, but after COVID, he moved back home. And when I came to Triangle, I've been working in a distributed workforce for almost 10 years now. Not really distributed workforce. We were remote. There was a headquarters. But yeah, I'm super used to it. So when I talk to people about how we hire people, I got to talk to a group of JCAR brokers just the other day, and I say that our team is in 7 states and 2 countries, and it's because I want to hire the best people in the industry, not just people that can happen to drive a carry. But supporting them, we do social events and things where we have Zoom calls and do stuff together. We get together in person for strategic planning once a year, whenever we can. We do that every year. And we go to these industry meetings. We go to 7 or 8 a year. And there, you got to spend some time together in Austin. So it doesn't just happen. We have to really lean into this. So I'm really interested in learning more about how, we can serve our subscribers better by having a better, more connected, more supported, more empowered team. So
one of the big takeaways with that is also just learning how to work asynchronously. So documenting things in Atlassian's Jira product so that you don't have to have a meeting face to face or a Zoom call or something to talk about it.
Yeah.
That you should have a source of truth somewhere and then find tools to collaborate around that source of truth with video clips, with, messaging back and forth, even just feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down, virtual praise or critique is very important. And finding a platform that facilitates that.
Yeah, and you don't have to have everybody get in the same room to do most things. And we work really closely with a company in Australia. And, you really have to get pretty creative to find a time for Copenhagen, Raleigh, and Sydney to all be on this call at the same time. Or you could just put your work product, your deliverable into the tool, and, the person who logs in their time zone is going to do their part and put it in there. And that's what you mean by asynchronous. We don't have to all do it at the same time.
It really forces you to think about what is actually needed for whatever the process is or whatever the outcome is. It really forces you to think about that, which is another benefit in all of this.
Okay.
There's some more consideration going into before just calling a meeting.
Yeah. So in the few minutes we have left, let's talk a little bit about stuff that the subscribers out there. Subscribers have a lot of new stuff to deal with. We've got 2 new MLS platforms that they can choose from, a new listing management system, new Paragon Connect that's coming up here in July. We've got new tools coming out for support. We have a lot of you have probably seen these AI large learning models where they're, I saw it in Acrobat Reader just the other day. If you have Acrobat Reader desktop, and you have the Triangle MLS rules and regulations, for example, in the window, you can just ask it a question like, what's the deadline for putting in a photo? and it's read the document, and can answer questions about it. And, I mentioned this photo thing we have where the photos are going to get uploaded, and then it reads the photos and puts the tags of what those things are, what it finds in the photos. And we're doing this now with support documents. So we have all these support answers that are written. Somebody asks us a question, we give it the answer. It reads those answers, and it's in the process of allowing us the ability to let you just chat with the result of all of those cumulative answers. And that's just one tiny little example. So maybe, I don't know, Kate, you're in charge of member services. Tell us something that you saw that you can imagine being in front of our subscribers in the future.
Sure. With the chatbot that you mentioned, Matt, is going to give our subscribers 24/7 access to our knowledge base, which we're open until 8 during the week, but then there's a whole lot of time where agents are still working and we don't have a live body, then they still need access to the information. So that's going to help speed up their processes as far as entering listings or working with listings in the system.
That's amazing. 24/7, and it's pretty good at hearing what the person said and then just giving that back. It's really no better than the cumulative answers that we give. So, tuning this thing, teaching it, I guess is how you would say that, teaching it by loading more authoritative content into the learning model is how we'll grow that. And I'm imagining like the look on the face of some segment of our users, and like, this is not so we don't have to talk to you, right? This is so we can get the simple questions answered so that we can talk to people who really need one of us to actually walk through, a more complex problem with them. We want to move those easy things off the table so we can concentrate on them more.
I think this is really about getting the right answer as fast as possible. That's really what this is. And AI, we are fortunate having tools like the tools AI brings to us, because that does allow us to bring very precise answers. Because we all know when we're in a chat bot or chatting with something and we know it's machine because the answers are so general that they're not really helpful, right? With AI, we really get the opportunity to provide very direct answers to questions. And that's why, our work going forward, or a big part of our work, is to feed the language models to all these answers. And Nagy is really ramping up that and putting some positive pressure on staff to get that rolling, because the benefit long term is going to be significant, both for subscribers but also for staff. Their work will be more interesting. They don't have to worry about the repeat questions over and over and over again. They actually get to deal with things that are a little more complex. So
yeah, and one of the things that showed exponential growth from last year's South by Southwest to this year's is, again, AI models that are doing real-time translation. So we can engage with our subscribers in different languages real time through chat, and soon through live voice, that there will be voice AIs that will translate spoken language to another language in a natural way that doesn't sound like a bad Chinese translation for something you bought off Amazon.
I've seen that. That's totally mind-blowing. And somebody who's a native speaker moves to the Triangle for a job and they're just more comfortable talking to us. If that's an option, then I think we're making things easier for them. And making member tasks easier is one of our 5 stated strategic objectives I was talking about a minute ago. And this is what we're talking about. Allan said, get people the right answer as quick as possible. So that's really interesting. I know that there's another thing that we're implementing, that's the chaptering in the videos. And this, for the users, what that may look like is, in a support article that you're reading, one of the words may be underlined that would take you to the specific frame in an ongoing video where it starts talking about the thing that the support article was describing. So you can actually go from text straight to the video chapter point and roll right into a presentation, and then back out to text from the video. So that's what's happening in that video at that point is determined by the image tagging thing, which is an AI or really ML interface, but that's actually in process now. It's already in use for property videos, and what we're talking about is making it available for support videos.
It even leans into the consumer experience, or the buyer experience of if the list agent doesn't specifically tag images as they upload them consistently, that the AI model in the videos will go find every kitchen that they see in the video, and you can go show your clients, if the kitchen is the most important thing they want to see, then go show them that. and video clips walking through the house. Again, make it more real before you have to go and make a listing appointment and show it.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up, exactly, the placement of the tags is an AI thing.
Yeah.
Those are things that will absolutely be, part of the user experience. I think, between now and next South by, I bet you see a natural language search for properties in the Triangle, either on our new consumer portal at trianglemls.com or certainly brokers and others will have those where, you're not old school filling out a form, drop down, et cetera, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You're just saying, hey, I've got 3 kids. I'm moving to Raleigh. One likes horseback riding and one likes soccer. Where should I live? And the thing's going to come back and talk to you about it. And I imagine that's going to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, it's growing exponentially, and it's really cool to see the progress even year over year, last year Southwest to this year, because the language models have grown so fast that they're really mature now, and enterprises are picking it up at an exponential pace.
Yeah, so we had the conversation before, like we just went through this experience and we had like a 5-day support turnaround, even with Kate's team working nights and weekends. And I know Kate didn't take a day off forever. I didn't either. But even with that, I hear people thinking that we're talking about stuff too high level and, we need to just be answering the phones. And, we did both. Okay. We didn't do this during the turbulence, right? This was just a couple of weeks ago. And what we're trying to do here is really just, sharpen the tools that we use to be able to do a better job. This is about, I keep calling it kind of basic research or basic science. It's, we're preparing for things that are coming down the road that we don't even know about. I think that makes a lot of sense given what's happening around us in the industry. We have to be basically prepared for anything, and doing things like this are a big part of that. Yeah, so we're really, really glad you guys spent all of your spare time. You're away from your families and had to go do this. I know it's kind of a treat to go that, but it's also a ton of work and a lot of wear and tear. But we really appreciate you guys going out and learning for the Triangle subscribers.
Wonderful. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about it.